The other question too is just about pictures. The one that has your house in it with the drawing like this, and then the other one, the sketch like this. So one shows a bathroom, a bedroom, a living room, and a kitchen in the accessory. But this one only shows a bath or a bedroom, and where the bathroom is, it shows an egress to the back of the house, which they need an egress. So if that's gonna be the egress, there has to be a bathroom there somewhere.
The egress can't be on the front of the building.
Right, I know, so they put the egress in the back, but now where's the bathroom?
No, the
You can have an
bathroom's there and
egress
the door is
in a
there.
bathroom. It just means you have a window or a sliding door, quite frankly. That's,
That's basically a sketch, not the scale.
But it would,
Right. So that was just
If
a
you
question, I'm
take-
thinking, is a bathroom here and no bathroom there?
no, basically, all right, yeah, it says bed there, but it's really the bathroom.
Well, no, yeah, well, I don't know, it is, or maybe it is, maybe it's not.
See that?
Is that where the door's gonna go though?
The door's going to go there, which would be here.
Right, but they'd have to, yeah, be approved, right? So that would be
yep,
something
and you
that,
can put conditions that are comparable with what your ordinance says of the two means of egress, and they can't be on the front of the building. And
Right.
ensuring that the mudroom that's proposed is the common wall, because it's got the stairs up to the, what I think is a master bedroom,
Yeah.
and then to the accessory apartment.
One question that I did have is, the structure was built as a two-tenement house. It's been converted into a single-family home at the moment? Excuse me? Well, all three of those houses were were originally built as two-tenement. I'm just checking, because when I was a kid, they were still, all three were two-tenements.
But you can do it with the other ones, they have the whole upper house part, you know, where ours doesn't, it's only on one side of the house. So our upstairs is very small compared to,
Oh, okay.
it doesn't have the whole layout, it's one whole layout,
Oh, okay.
the whole length of the house, exactly.
I've been in the houses on either side of you. I have never been in yours, so I did not know. Oh, okay.
You say when you were a kid?
Oh, it was a joke.
Yeah, in our houses.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions that that the applicant can answer for them next week? 2 weeks. Oh. Actually, would you please come
can
up
we
to...
have public comment?
Even though we're not recording, it's...
You have an accepted jurisdiction over it because of the abutter notices, but if it's just a question, I think that's
Yeah, if
reasonable.
somebody has a question.
Thanks.
Are we back on?
Yes.
Oh.
Why don't you tell us your name?
Would you please come up to the microphone, just so, because we're actually on camera now, once again. Yeah,
Microphone.
Well, my name's Kim Detour, and I'm at 11 Whittier Street. And I did get the abutters notice, and I thought it was really nice, because I thought, wow, I'm 2 doors down, that was very nice. But anyway, so, and it still is very nice. But I just wanted to know, I had forgotten until last night that there's a strip of land that goes with that property that runs along through the backwoods of my house, which is fine. It's not mine. But then I saw a structure going up last night, and, you know, I thought, that doesn't look like an accessory apartment, and it's not. But I just started thinking septic system, leach fields, you know, occupancy, whatever. So mostly I think, I was told it's a work shed or something. Is that what it's going to be? That building?
The plan is labeled as a proposed shed, so
Well,
yes.
it's already being built. Right. So,
It would not be able to be an accessory apartment or converted into a accessory apartment unless it was attached to the house, and you actually can't even have two accessory apartments on their
but it
property.
can't be occupied by people to live in.
Not to live in, no, not without an additional set of hoops to go through, and you would be notified as an abutter.
So, again, it just brings, I haven't seen any plans, and maybe I shouldn't see any plans, but I just wanted to know about the septic system in leach field and
That gives a
where
layout.
that's going. And if it's not going in the back of my house, it's none of my business.
This is where the septic system will be located, in the leach field, so it's almost directly behind the existing structure,
In back of your existing.
in back of their existing
Their
structure.
existing structure. Okay, so it doesn't come out into the woods.
No, it doesn't appear to.
Is this mine?
You can have it.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any other
Those will be back
questions
to
at
the
this
same.
time? So we will schedule the public hearing for May 8th, which is our next planning board meeting. And I guess we will move on. We will take care of that abutter. Remind everybody, keep your paperwork. We will not be
Paperwork.
mailing it back out. Okay, the next item on the agenda is acceptance of minutes from 4/10/18.
Move to accept.
Second. Thank you.
Do you accept text messages for approval from neighbors?
No, we have to actually send it to them.
Certified letter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no trouble with what you're doing at your house. Have at it.
Laws haven't caught up, sorry.
We don't get company too often, you can stay.
Sorry. I appreciate
Tell her to
you.
go to the mail and get her thing.
Okay, were there any errors or omissions in the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Is there a manifest? It is, it's the abutter notices for $46.90. Can we have a motion to pay?
Motion to pay?
Thank you.
Seconded.
Paul got the second. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Is there enough money in the NEPA account for the, is
Excuse me?
there enough money in that NEPA account for the notices we're gonna be
Yes,
sending out?
there is.
Yep, they give $200.
Do we have any correspondence?
Fine.
We've got a few things in correspondence. We did the accessory apartment last week for Randy. Fire chief kicked me off an email just saying that new town ordinance that requires installation of smoke and CO detectors. Barbara's asked that we just reissue a updated notice of decision with that in there, the clause in there saying about the smokes.
Yes.
It's already been approved, and that should be handled by the building department. If it's
Yeah,
part
I
of
mean,
the-
your notice
that-
of
that-
decision
that-
should just say it.
Right,
It says any town ordinances, right?
right.
And
Yeah.
I don't think we need to change anything.
Change it.
No, I mean, your standard condition that it comply with all
Right.
state, federal, and local
Ordinances
laws
and
is all
that's,
that's needed.
Okay.
Just as a question, when an ordinance like that becomes effective, is it automatically put in, like on the, online in our ordinance
we
section or
don't
whatever?
have an ordinance section. You
Right.
can't
So how would
find,
somebody
you
know
can't
that?
find town ordinances.
That should go in with the select.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Not the zoning ordinance.
Is there a book of the town ordinances? Not the zoning ordinance,
Right, just,
Yes,
other town
yes,
ordinances.
Yes, there are.
Where does it exist?
It's probably in the selectman's office.
So it's a selectmen's ordinance?
pattern?
Right.
That would be nice to get it online with the
I
other
will
things.
bring it to my confreres on the board.
I was just
Because
wondering
to
how
me,
the
it-
loop gets
it's sort of like
closed.
you pass rules and they're secrets.
Right, right, nobody knows, or like you forget about it, or whatever, yeah.
Right.
Barbara had suggested, and she, that we add it to the Newton zoning ordinance, and she wanted it to appear in two places. One under the general provisions, and then the other one under the accessory.
Not a zoning
Yeah,
ordinance.
Not a zoning thing, that's a building permit thing.
I was just gonna say that we're outside of the building except for counting bedrooms.
Yeah, that really
and
should be,
entrances.
So under
That
The
should-
building department should
That
take
should
care of
not be
that.
put in with
That-
the
that's-
zoning or site plan or subdivision regulations. I mean, it's fine to have sort of a informational packet to give to applicants before they go and pull a building permit, especially for residential, but
But
it's-
that would go with you pulling the building permit, okay,
Yeah.
these are what you have to comply
Right,
with. and-
yes.
I mean,
Yeah, I
if the
mean, that-
zoning
that-
office had that,
That's a
not
building
problem.
permit thing.
All right, that's two shot now.
And that was at no cost to the taxpayers either.
that, we just got in the mail.
That's what it said.
Okay.
From engineering.
We have from the New Hampshire Fish and Game regarding the Sergeant Wildlife Management Area at 36 Gill Village Road. Holden Engineering and Surveying, Inc. has been requested to record the attached plans at the County Registry of Deeds. It-
What are the plans of?
Is it just a boundary
Yeah.
survey?
Yeah, it's a copy of the survey of the, yes, it's the State of New Hampshire Fish and Wildlife. They resurveyed it, and good lord, somebody was drunk when they laid that out.
A Native
It
American.
is the most,
Oh, look at that. Maybe there's a lot of
convoluted.
trees or something, yeah.
yeah,
It's probably a stream.
Yeah, stream, that sounds more like it.
Follow the stream.
no, it doesn't follow a stream because,
Really?
Follows where the stream was 100 years ago.
Or a path from 100 years ago. That's helpful for anybody that owns land around that. That way they can base it off of that survey, and then they can triangulate.
Like the
survey.
conservation has a piece probably by that, right?
I was just going to suggest that we give a copy of this to Conservation.
Good idea.
Um,
And did they didn't CC us on, and
Doesn't look like it.
No. That is the strangest boundary line that I have ever seen.
because they
That's probably why they reshot it.
Are they gonna do a selective
get the
cut
real
down there?
GPS coordinates.
Are they gonna do a selective cut down there?
That would require, actually, because of state land, we don't have any
I
jurisdiction
understand
over
that.
it.
Because they did one down on the Amesbury Road,
Mhm.
and that's the one on Dale Village, right, and Chase? Chase to Southampton.
Not Chase Road.
Not
Kinda
Chase Road,
far
not
away,
Chase
yeah.
Road.
Yeah,
Is that road?
it's an interesting little map.
It helps
We
with
will,
our
we will
tax
pass
maps, right?
along copies, would you,
Conservation Commission?
Conservation and,
Might help the tax map. It goes like this, not straight.
well, you saw it, I mean,
Your
it's,
tax maps are very outdated. for a number
what's
of
really interesting is state owns everything on the right-hand side of that bizarre line. The town owns everything on the left-hand side of it. You'd think the state would look at us and go, you know, in case we ever have to survey this, why don't we just make it a straight line?
Yeah.
That involves more paperwork.
That's how planning boards came about.
Anything further for correspondence?
Lastly, Roger noticed that our book does
Yeah.
not line up to what's on the web.
Oh, okay.
So he was kind enough to make the changes, and all I gotta do is insert them on page 16.
You're missing about
Right,
3
you-
inches of, yeah. So,
You probably want one too then, although,
I need a whole new book.
What?
I never got the whole
Take
new
this
book.
home and add it to your book.
In 2013.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so that's an errata sheet for your book. Anything further to come before us?
I do have one thing. So a couple of months ago, the town had contracted with the planning commission to work on the EPA MS4 stormwater permit. So I've been talking with Mike Vignali because he's doing a few things for the town. But one of the items that the town contracted with us to do was to do an audit of existing regulations and practices, and then provide basically feedback to different land use boards and staff members and departments in town, so they can all kind of get a sense of what they're going to need to do over the 5-year course of the permit. And part of the education and outreach component is that we were going to do some presentations to different boards. I was actually wondering if the planning board would like to sort of host the land use board, because it's really the planning board as far as land use boards, but also making sure that the ZBA, for instance, understands why they should probably not be giving variances for stormwater regulations. The Conservation Commission understanding how some of the education and outreach that they already do, how that can count towards the town meeting the requirements. But if you guys would like to host that outreach event on probably the June 26th meeting, we could do it the end of May, but I think June 26th would probably be a better date. But if we could get that out to the other boards ahead of time.
So
I'd-
basically, you're talking
I'd like
about,
to
it'd be
table
a
that till,
presentation at
Chairman's
One at
our
a
regular
time.
meeting that we would then invite these other people to attend.
Yes, and whether, I mean, if you had a case, certainly that could be done first, or you could bump cases to, we could start a little bit early, you could bump the cases to, say, 7:30. I don't think it would be much longer than a 45-minute discussion, maybe an hour for questions, just in case. But if we maybe started at 6:30, and then if you did have cases, you could start those at 7:30, so you're not sort of taking up too much of anybody's time.
I just thought we should table this until Barrett gets back. Because I don't know what's on his schedule for things, you know?
Well, luckily, because it's a regular scheduled meeting
Yeah.
night, I'm gonna look over at the other white and ask whether or not, you know, things usually rushed before you get to planning board?
When I'm going into the hospital, yes.
Oh, okay,
I had a new pacemaker put in
right.
a week and a half ago, and that's kind of crunched everybody up
Oh,
in our house.
okay. So, do we want to come up with a decision tonight, or a tentative? Because needless to say, with the ZBA and conservation, the quicker we can let them know, the more likely they are to be able to show up.
I mean, I would like to do it
It's good.
preferably in June, only because people, once you hit July, are gone
Yeah,
for the summer.
July and August, it's out.
And it seems like that might be the last good date, and given that the permit also goes into effect on July 1st, none of those boards have to do anything during the first basically 6 months, but it's good to get people thinking about it because time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
And they don't have to come to the presentation. It's just,
They
basically,
d-
we're...
they don't
they're-
have
right,
to
we-
come,
We would like them to come, but if they can't make it, we're not going to do
We
the
can't
fight the
mandate.
schedule thing of
Right.
making every...
Right, we're never
finding
gonna,
a time.
we're never gonna find a date that every land use board committee member
Right.
can come. If one or two from each committee can come, I think that, you guys actually have the biggest role in it as far as things you're going to have to do at a certain time, and that's adopting some subdivision and site plan regulations, also some zoning ordinance down the road in a couple of years. Conservation sort of can continue to do what they already are doing for outreach. We just let them know that keep doing it because it counts towards the stormwater outreach you have to do under the permit. Ultimately, the ZBA's biggest message is going to be from me: don't give them variances for stormwater.
Yeah.
It's just
Very important, right?
It's just it's kind of like you don't give variances for building in a floodplain. It puts you in a compromising position with federal law that allows people in that flood scenario instance to get flood insurance. So,
Sounds good to me.
all right, I'll pencil it in, and if you wanna,
I make a
Put it
motion,
this
we
way,
pencil it in.
Pencil it in now, we'll confirm it at
We're
the
having our
on the
meeting
May 8th.
anyway, right?
Well, like you said, it's good to send out the invitations early, so if you know, obviously at the regular night, so you're planning on being here.
yeah, I mean, it kind of saves you guys a little bit of money.
So I would suggest that we say, yeah, we'll
Put it
do
on
it,
the agenda?
and send out the invitations.
How about this? How about I check with Barb, or I'll send her an email tomorrow morning, and
Okay.
if we get a positive from that, we'll schedule it, and then, I mean, it's April at this point, but.
Will you CC me?
I mean, I can understand Paul suggesting wait
Yeah.
until Barbara, because we're basically dumping, she's gonna have to chair.
I'm on
And
conservation,
how
so
early
our
to
next
start.
meeting, I'll
But
just
then,
mention
but then
it.
again,
Okay.
How early?
Great.
I'll just mention
person
that
that's
date.
absent is always appointed
I
to
can always come, I'll be
secretary
here
or what
anyway.
have you.
Perfect.
Okay.
That sounds like a plan.
Okay.
By the way, have we reached the point where there's a review of the ordinances to see what we're going to need?
So I can already tell you, you guys need to do your subdivision regulations, so at minimum, any new roads being constructed, comply with basically some little bit of better stormwater regulations than you currently have. Right now, it just says, don't let any additional stormwater runoff go onto any property. We need to do a little bit more refining of that, and it'd be very similar to what you'd have in your site plan for commercial properties.
Okay,
Most communities are not going towards regulating residential properties, except for with developments with new roads coming in. And that is passing muster with EPA, so. You won't be doing anything new. The biggest decision really that we'll have to discuss is what thresholds of having stormwater regulations trigger. Whether you're talking about 5,000 square feet of disturbance, and we're not just new structures, but actual disturbed area
Yeah.
or impervious surface, or 10,000 square feet or 15,000 square feet. Some communities have done 20,000 square feet. That half an acre of impervious surface can cause a lot of stormwater runoff. Most communities are going in the 10 to 15 range, and then you will have an exception for very small projects when someone's adding a patio or a new concrete pad for their dumpster, things that are very minor in nature that will increase stormwater runoff a tiny bit, but not to a point where it's going to really negatively impact, or the surrounding area can't absorb that little bit of additional load, so.
but we definitely need to capture the people that are taking their gravel driveway and parking lot and paving it.
Yes, and so defining impervious surface is one of the big ones. And gravel, just for your own education, is generally not pervious. It's about 85% impervious. So you do get better than asphalt. Asphalt is 100% impervious. But gravel, especially if it's really compacted and has been driven over for a long time, not very pervious.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a plan for
But
the,
that's all we're gonna have to do is just a site plan.
Site plan and subdivision, in 3 years, and there's not a good model out yet for it. It's called IDDE, it's Illicit Detection and Elimination Systems. It's when someone is doing non-point stormwater discharges, and that can be everything from having a sump pump that is got the hose going into a roadside swale that's then going into the wetland. That's an illicit discharge, to car washes. Let's say the high school's doing a car wash, or the elementary school's doing a car wash fundraiser. It's going onto the local road, it's going into the local swale, and going directly into Powwow Pond. So there can be a lot of things that count as an illicit discharge. That protocol, it doesn't need to be in place until year 4 of the permit. So you want to have it in place basically in year 3. And there's models are being developed right now, but we don't actually have a good one for open drainage towns, which is what you guys primarily have, is just open drainage.
so people that, pump their pools out into the
Right, the yard into the thing.
So if they are doing it directly into a wetland or a river and not coming on town property, they're still not doing something legal, but it's not the town's problem. If they are dumping it into the
Their
town's
neighbor's
right of way or the state's right of way,
I just know one place where they pump out their pool and it runs half down the street and then
Yep.
into the guller. and
Yep,
then
that-
to a culvert and,
that's, if it's on a town road, the town would be liable for any stormwater pollution that they are willingly accepting. So,
or acquiescing.
sorry, that was into a lot more detail than I was intending, but any
Well, this
other?
is another side note, when I was reading that application,
Yeah.
the septic design plan, it actually says there's things about, like if you have, around here we have other water purifying systems, because of everything in our water, that you shouldn't discharge that into the system, it could fail sooner, and you're not allowed to have a disposal hooked up to your sinks to go into the, I was like, hey, wow, that's pretty interesting, they write out, you wouldn't think of that. you
And
know,
generally
that-
garbage disposals aren't
Yeah.
a good thing
Yeah,
for
but I
septic
thought that was
systems or
pretty neat,
sewer.
it was right on the
I do
report.
only because I had a client who did have their water softening.
Yeah.
When it back flushes,
Yeah.
it back flushed into their septic.
Yeah.
However, the salt in it and their septic
Died, yeah.
caved in.
Yeah, it said that it might, yeah, not last as long if you do stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Anything further? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Non-debatable, all those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.